Ladies and gents, players and punters, welcome to London. Today, London hosts the second leg of the PokerStars.tv European Poker Tour. 7 tournaments in all, finishing with a grand final in Monte Carlo. But now, most of the big names in the game are here in London. Over 170 of Europe's high rollers, and even a few have crossed the Atlantic for this one. We've also got players who won satellite events at PokerStars.com, and they're having a great time. Some of the brightest poker stars have turned up. There's certainly enough cash to get Ali Sharkashik interested. Patrick Bruel is in tune for this one, and Surinder Sunar is a WPT event winner. Look out for him. Bill Gazes has made it across the pond to check out the European action, and a few familiar faces from Barcelona. So this is the second leg of the European Tour. Barcelona's done and dusted. Now we're in London, next it's Dublin, then Copenhagen. After that it's down to Deauville and then off to Vienna. Finally the big one, the grand final, the PokerStars.tv European Poker Tour in Monte Carlo. Gonna be massive. But London is all we have to worry about right now. 170 players have battled their way down to just 8 at this final table. £500,000 prize money. All different sizes of stacks. Starting with Bardal in seat 1. He's doing quite well. A big online player. And look who's in seat 2. The European heavyweight that is Marcel Lusk. In seat 3 we got John Falconer, he's from England. He's a bit of an unknown quantity, we'll keep an eye on him, doing quite well indeed. And Robert Cooper from England, another mysterious player in seat 4. Hard talking, and as you'll see, hard playing as well. In seat 5, George McKeever from Ireland. Now he's been playing cards before cards were invented. Nice happy guy, he should do quite well. And in seat 6, Noah Boken from the Netherlands. Now Marcel Lusk has been taking him under his wing, so to speak. It could bite him today. And John Shipley here is your chip leader at the moment. He's seen many a final table. Will he be smiling towards the end? We'll see. Not if Jeff Duval from England has anything to say about it, but he'll have to get a bit of a move on. $1 million poker winner John Duffy's with me. Who would you least like to play against at this final table?
Well, there's a few of them there. I mean, Jeff Duval, never a great fan of playing against him. Marcel and John Shipley are also incredibly capable players. You know, there's a really difficult lineup here.
Well, whoever wins is going to have to hit some good hands. Here's how they work. This is the best hand. 10 to ace suited and running. Below that, the straight flush. Again, suited and running. Doesn't have to be 10 to ace and 4 of a kind. The numbers match 4 times. Below that, it's the full house. 3 of one, 2 of the other, and the flush. All the same suit. The numbers don't have to run. This is more likely you see a lot of these straights running 5 cards, and below that 3 of a kind. Could be anything from 2s to aces, and 2 pair is exactly what it says. We're getting down to the not so good hands. 1 pair won't win too many hands today, and the high card, hopefully you'll fold it. Let's put the theory into practice and get some cards dealt. John Shipley is our chip leader at the moment. He takes a look at what he has.
Like a pair of 3s. Yeah.
And he makes a bet.
18,000 to play.
A good pocket pair then for a chip leader.
Okay, so he's bet 18. He's raised at 18,000. So Dahl's.
I raised 45,000.
Oh, he's come. Okay. Dahl's playing his ace queen very aggressively. He's made it 45,000 to play.
Even suited connectors being folded here, so a lot of good cards around this table.
Yeah, well, there's already 79,000, in this pot.
I'm all in. And another ace came. We've got an all-in call made. He needs that as well. Robert Cooper. He's all in for over 300,000 chips here, and he stands to pick up what, 70,000 if everyone folds around him.
Yeah, he's playing it very aggressively, which is a thing to do.
And he's done it. Shipley folds his pocket 3s. Dahl's ace queen is gone. And Cooper makes a nice tidy 70 grand without a card being dealt.
And he looks very happy about it too.
Smug, some would say, John. Smug. So here's the basics of poker. Each player gets 2 cards each, and they're your own. Then a round of betting based on the blinds amount, and then we get the flop. That's our first 3 cards in the middle out of 5. Are you liking that? Are you not? Well, we're going to have another round of betting at this stage. 2 players left in, we get the turn card. Does that change anything? In this case, the Queen of Hearts. More betting than the final card, the River. You do not want to get beaten on this one. 1 more round of betting, then the best 5 card hand you can make, given the 2 in your hand and the 5 in the middle. In this case, it's a straight, which beats 3 of a kind. Let's get back to the table.
Thank you.
Marcel Lewis, probably the best known player at this final table, and fine voice so far tonight, but he'll need some action. He's got the second lowest chip stack at the moment, 65,500.
Of girls?
And the subject matter seems to be women.
Hardly surprising with Marcel. Always very entertaining to have at the same table as you, Marcel. He's a very, very good player, loves to chat, loves to wind his opponent up.
Well, he will not be entertaining much longer if he doesn't get some good cards, as he's so short stacked. In this case, he's looking at 1 bet to double up.
Okay, so Robert Cooper, everybody's folded round to Robert Cooper, who's raised with the King 10.
And not bad cards at all, knowing that 5 are folded in front of him, just the small blind and the big blind to make the decision. On that small blind then, George McKeever from Ireland, about 80,000 chips in front of him. Although John will correct me, he can count them from 100 miles away, so if I'm wrong, let me know, Duffy.
I will.
And with so little chips in front of him, in relation to other players, he's going to like high-suited connectors, and he's raised all in.
Oh, it's a good move by George. He's only got 80,000. He needs to get busy. He knows he needs to get busy early on. These may be the best cards he sees for a while. See, Robert's folded, so he wins the pot. Well played, George.
Well played indeed. That makes Marcel Lusk then bottom of the chip count. He's every reason to raise his glasses.
A couple of months ago, I won about $450,000, $500,000. A lot of people say, wow, he's great, he's fantastic. It could be a flip of a coin to be successful in a competition, or you're out. It's not because you play bad. The cards just don't know. They don't have a memory. I don't want to be predictable in the game. This is a key to poker. If you're predictable, then it's no good.
Marcel Lusk there, proving that poker means 2 things, profits and profits. More cards being dealt out. Lusk will need to get a move on, and he won't be in this hand for much longer. Bottom of the chip stack at the moment. Everyone with more chance of getting their hands on that top prize than him at the moment.
Maybe 48.
And a strange raise there, John. He hasn't got that many more chips other than the 48,000.
Well, he's got to get busy, and he's got King Queen suited, so he's walked into pocket jacks. John Falconer's got pocket jack.
Well, let's hope that Marcel Lusk isn't listening to Alison Moyes all cried out. He won't be favourite to win this hand. Okay. George McKeever might fancy it.
No, he folds.
He folds his cards, so we're looking at a 2-player showdown. Marcel Lusk, a massive player in any country, anywhere in the world in poker, is all in on the European Poker Tour here in London. He shows his suited connectors. They're high cards, but they're not favourite against the pocket jacks of the fairly unknown John Falconer from England. He might take a massive scalp. Lusk won't forget his name. He's not going to hit his flush. He needs to hit a king or a queen, and that's it for Marcel Lusk. The record has ended. We're down to 7. He had to play cards though. Bottom line, John, he had to play something.
Yeah, well, yeah. He's very, very. He's the lowest stack on the table now. He's got King Queen suited. He's got to get involved. He's got to get busy. He's just very unlucky, really, that he got a big hand behind him, and also that he didn't hit a king or a queen. It's great. He's saying goodbye to Noah, his protege.
Well, here's a song for you, Marcel. Na 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 na. Yay, goodbye.
You enjoyed yourself?
Oh yes, very much.
You gonna go drown your sorrows now?
No, not really. I think I'm going to have a drink and a song somewhere.
A song? Go and do some karaoke somewhere.
Yes.
You're an experienced player. Who's going to win?
I hope Noah is going to win, the new kid on the block. But John Shipley is quite a good player. But he might go and tilt when he loses a big pot. Then he goes wild.
What more can you ask for, John Duffy, other than a drink and a shong? Let's deal some more cards here at the final table, down to 7 players.
Okay, so George has folded a 10-jack. Noah folds. None of them obviously like their hands.
A 10-8 suited, a moderate hand. And Jeff Duval from England considers a bet. Doing okay, sitting about middle of the chip table at the moment.
Okay, so Jeff has raised it to 20,000.
He won't want to be re-raised on that hand. Let's see what he's up at. Oh, he's going to be going into bed with a couple of ladies here if he goes with this. Pocket queens for Robert Cooper. And he's moved all in. Duval's going to fold it.
Oh, yeah.
Got aces, you got me.
He's got jacks, he's
I love
got...
that.
Yeah,
You've got aces, you've got me. He's trying to pretend he's got the queens or the kings. You're giving him a bit of a wind-up.
And that's a fold. Let's try and find out more about Robert Cooper. Mysterious player talks to us.
Yeah, it's great to make the final table. If you don't expect it, no point in entering. I'm not here for the prize money. I'm here for the tournament win. I'm not basically a gambler. You know, a tournament, you're in your fee, you're in or out, that's it. So I enjoy the thrill of trying to win a tournament. There are some tough players out there, you know, some aggressive players, and you've got to read those right. If you don't read those right, they could be all over for you as easy as anybody.
Back to the action at the table, more cards being dealt. At this stage, a lot of big pre-flop bets coming in. Let's see what happens here.
Yeah, that seems to be the case. We've got, I think Robert Cooper is on the button, so John Shipley passes. Jeff picks up a deuce and jack, he folds that, dreadful hand. As do Dahl and Falconer. Cooper folds. Let's see what George has got on the small blind.
We've seen one card's an ace.
7-3.
Yeah.
6 deuce. What's it gonna be?
Oh, I just put it on it.
Yeah.
that was quite funny because Noah was goading him there. He was just saying, "What have you got? Is it seven?" Oh, actually, he's picked up a pair of 8s. I mean, I'm not sure whether he. I don't think he'd looked at his cards. I don't think he realised he had a pair.
Well, he was goading him enough to maybe... He did have a sly glance and seen his pocket 8s. And he'll go in his favourite if he calls this, which he does.
Yeah, he's going to call. He can't not call at this stage of the tournament.
George McKeever, long in the tooth, hasn't really got the cards at the final table. He knows ace-4 may be the best he gets before his stack disappears thanks to the blinds. But Bo Ken is going to love 8-8. Marcel Lusk has taught him well. Let's see the flop. King, King, 5. Bo Ken with 2 pair at this stage. 7 does nothing. 1 card left. No good. Only the ace would save George McKeever. And he's gone, John.
He needed to get lucky very early on, George, and he played very strongly, and so he's done all right, you know.
He waves goodbye to this final table at the European Poker Tour, shakes a few hands, then disappears into the darkness.
You got knocked out by someone young enough to be your son.
I have sons older than him.
Anyone
Yeah,
there, who do you think is going to win?
I think Jeff is playing very well, and I think he probably won. Yeah, John Shipley is a very strong player. He's not playing many hands, but any hands he does play, he plays them very strong, and I think John has a great chance. So it's a toss-up between Jeff and John.
By George, in more ways than one. I'm sure £15,000 will put a smile back in his face. And we're back after the break for more European Poker Tour. Welcome back to London and welcome back to the Victoria Casino here. And let's have a look at where we stand at the moment. John Shipley leading the way, but look how tight these players are. We're hanging with Mr. Cooper in second place, Jeff Duval in third, and propping up the table, Bart Dahl, 190,000 chips. More cards being dealt here at the final table, and more folds. Of course, players looking for that hand that they can pre-flop raise, really. It's just been the story of this final table.
There don't seem to be very many. Everybody seems to be playing fairly tightly and conservatively. Noah doesn't look as though he is.
Noah Boken from the Netherlands. He's already seen Marcel Luce go out. Marcel looks after Noah in many ways. Noah's his protege, and he's still here.
He kind of coaches him in a way. He just gives him advice. So Shipley and Jeff Duval have both folded. King Bard's got a King 10.
Bard Dowan, seat 1 from Norway, big online player. The King 10 in his mind's worth a call. He's not thinking it's the best hand, but little does he know he's up against the King 8.
Okay, here comes the flop.
Scare cards for both players.
Yep, it's going to be interesting to see who outplays the other here. This is what's going to probably happen. I mean, Dahl actually has picked up a middle pin straight draw, so he's got a reasonable hand.
Well over 100,000 chips in the middle and no clear winner after the flop. We've had a bet and a call. We will see the turn card. And Dahl likes that. He's hit 2 pair all, and of course he's got the aces in the community cards, and he's picked up his 10 with a king kicker to that hand. But of course, Boken did raise it pre-flop, so he might be seeing an ace there. He might be worried about that. Yes, no?
Well, no, he would be, but I mean, I think Noah's actually worried about the ace too. He's worried that he might be trapping him with an ace. Dahl's bet 50,000, so that's a big bet. He's trying to, he's actually trying to get him off a jack if he thinks he's got a jack. There's a potential flush draw there. He probably thinks his 10s are good, but I think he also probably thinks he's bluffing. He looks like a man who's bluffing.
But either way, Noah's ship is sank in this hand. He knows all he's got is the king high to add to that pair of aces. And he would imagine he's not going to win anything in this hand.
No, all he could possibly do is come back over the top here, and then Dahl would have to lay down, and he hasn't. And
he's folded, so the Bard takes that hand. Shakespeare could not have written a better script. Let's find out more about the man from Norway.
I've been playing chess and bridge since I was 7, but then I started playing poker, and now it's taking all my time basically. I'm quite good at reading other players. I like playing flops. Some people like to move all in before just to let the cards decide, but I like playing flops. I think that I can win pots where I'm not necessarily have the best hand. It's not going to be easy. I think the best player is going to win it, so hopefully it will be me.
Well, Bard Dahl in seat 1 playing very well so far. He's just taken a considerable chunk of Noah Boken's stack.
Okay, so John Shipley folds. Now it's round to Jeff Duval. What's he got? 6 of hearts, Jack of spades it looked like. Anyway, he's folded that. Not a good hand. Bard Dahl has folded. We didn't, and as has John Falconer. They've all got obviously very weak hands, and it's folded right round to Robert Cooper, who's got an ace here, and it's going to raise it 30,000.
Little players to act after him. He's going to put a small raise in with that hand. He's going to fancy it.
Oh yeah, and he's got a call from Noah Boken, who's called the 20,000 more, and here we see the flop.
Some more action for Noah, and he will like that flop because he's hit the top pair. Cooper, though, has hit something at least, bottom pair.
That's interesting. I mean, he's come out betting 20, and Noah hasn't raised. He's not certain. He's not sure where he stands. He hasn't raised. Oh, now he's in problems.
And he's not going to put Cooper on 2 pair here. He's simply not going to do that.
No, but he should be scared of the ace as well. But no, he's calling. It was cheap enough for him to call to hit his second pair, so you can kind of justify. He can kind of justify his call there.
And that's no good. He would have needed to pick off the queen there for 3 of a kind. So Cooper's got the best cards, but not always going to win the hand in poker. Let's see what action Cooper makes here. He's tried to trap him maybe with that.
No, he was trying to induce a bluff. So Cooper checked there because he thought that maybe he could get Noah Boken to bluff at the pot, and then he'd be able to call on the end. He's got a good hand. He's got aces up.
It's one of those hands you can't really call it. He's going to have 2 pair, certainly not the ace 2. But there was only 1 player in front of him to act. So was it a correct raise in that ace 2?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the small blind it was a good. He's got to think he's probably winning, so he's just raising with a weak ace.
Well, Noah Boken has taken a bit of a beating in the last couple of hands. Let's find out more about him.
Nah, I'm there now. I have to win it. I feel confident, and if the cards come my way, I should do it. It's a game you get better at the more you play. Like every day you keep learning, keep getting better. and you can make money with it, it's even better. What makes you good? You have to be aggressive. You have to go for it. Like poker players who are timid, don't have a shot. You know, they can do okay, but if you really want to win it, you have to be in there. And now I'm going to be European champion of poker, I hope.
Well, he's got the sparkle and the twinkle of a new kid on the block. Let's see if he comes undone. Certainly a couple of bad hands in a row, but that's poker for you. We get pocket fours with the Bard in seat 1.
Which he's folded. A lot of players do fold these small pairs up front in an early position.
Despite the fact we've already seen it would go in favoured against, say, an ace-queen unsuited.
Yep.
A 10-8 of clubs then suited, not a great hand, and we see a small raise in that. And more suited cards around the table. The Val fancies some action. Such a small raise, he'll want to see a flop and see if there's any hearts on it.
Yeah, okay. Right, so John Shipley has flopped an open-ended straight draw. Let's see what he does with it.
High cards in the flop, of course, the ace coming out as well.
Okay, so he's come out betting 35,000. A strong bet.
And of course, a serious bet for someone who, at the moment, has absolutely nothing.
Well, Jeff's calling. He doesn't think he. I don't know. He doesn't think he's got an ace. I think he thinks he hasn't got an ace. He thinks he might be able to outplay him on the turn.
Now, club is a very good card, of course, for Shipley. He's now waiting in just one more to hit his flush.
Well, he's got an open-ended straight and a flush draw now, so it's improved his hand massively, and he's gone all in. Okay, so he's moved all in. It's a very strong move. He'd even fancy his hand against a strong hand like aces up. He's still got outs.
De Val, I feel, has a slight read in Shipley. He's definitely going to think about it. It's a hard one to bet. It's a hard one to call.
Well, I don't think he can call. He's thinking because he'll be able to pick up a little bit of information off John. You can see him looking out of the corner of his eye at him. He's just picking up the vibes.
And he passes.
Yeah, he's folded. Well, he had to.
Because ultimately he's got nothing.
Yeah, no, he's got nothing. It's a very good hand. It's a very strong play by John Shipley. Very strong indeed. Interesting hand against two very, very top-rank professional poker players.
If only I could.
John Faulkner then in seat 3, quite vociferous tonight. He's talking to the crowd, he's talking to the players at the table. He's liking the way the cards are being dealt to him so far.
I haven't seen him talking to the crowd once.
It's because you're not paying attention, John. You're thinking of the fact that you're not good enough to play at this final table.
Oh.
Noah Boken will be looking, he's expecting some luck soon, and he's got the pocket jacks, he's got to like that, and he's not going to like that. He's going to have to go up against pocket kings, and he could get caught badly here.
Oh, it's just such bad luck. But yeah, I mean, it's he's in very, very bad shape, and I just feel sorry for Noah because he's a good young player, but I think there's a very good chance he might get into trouble here.
Pocket Jack says in the top 10 hands you can be dealt into the pocket, and it's only 18% against the pocket kings that are currently sitting rather nicely in front of John Shipley, and he raises, of course. And yep. Boken's going to call this. He's got absolutely no option with a high pocket pair.
No, he's moved all in. Okay, so yeah, Shipley raised 100,000 and Noah immediately moved all in.
Shipley calls.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that Noah could have thought about that. If he'd thought about that a little bit longer, he's still got quite a few chips left. He could have laid it down.
Of course, one player then will get all the cards. He needs his jack. It's actually another ace. 2 pair for Shipley, and Noah heads back to Amsterdam. Damn. The pocket jacks don't stand up then to the pocket kings. And we're down to 5 players, and he's entitled to feel unlucky. He just hasn't had the rub of whatever that is they're playing poker on.
Well, I'm here now with the baby of the table, just 23 years old, but you did very well and you've come out now. How are you feeling? Because you look absolutely gutted.
Yeah, because when there's 6 people left, the worst you can do is 6th, right? So yeah. That's what I did, and I thought my jacks were good, so I made a little raise, hoped he would come over the top with a worse hand. And he came over the top, but he had a better hand. So
gentlemen, and this is the PokerStars.tv European Poker Tour. Let's check our chip count at the final table, and it's John Shipley from England sitting pretty with Robert Cooper, a massive 220,000 chips behind in second place. 5 players, Jeff Duval sitting at the bottom. And one of these 5 players will be winning this leg of the European Poker Tour, and none of them out of it yet. Even Jeff Duval, 180,000 chips. If he doubles 3, he can make a serious climb up that chip count table.
Yeah, and let's not forget how much they're playing for. I mean, the first prize here is £200,000. I mean, it's hard to imagine, but it's a hell of a lot of money. Okay, John Shipley's found Ace King of Diamonds, and he's raised. Oh, hello. Ooh, Jeff found a pair of queens. This is a classic poker situation. Ace King versus a big pair.
I'm still in shock that John Duthie says it's hard to imagine £220,000. He spent that last Saturday in Harrods. So the pocket queen's favourite here, but the Ace King suited. It's a lottery, really, if he calls this.
Well, it's an even, it's a total even money shot, and I think that John's going to be thinking for a while. He's going to be pretty certain that he's up against a big pair here. So what he's doing is he's counting how much it's going to cost him, and he's called it because he knows he's still got chips left. He's still got chips left. It'll take this, it'll take Jeff Duval out if he hits an ace or a king. Let's see if he does.
A massive flop, and the first card out is the king.
Oh,
and the queen comes out for 3 of a kind. Will it change again? No, it doesn't.
That's very popular. That's really popular with the home crowd. I mean, they've gone. This is a really nice result. He's looking a bit happier now.
As soon as we said it happens, Duval doubles up. Onwards and upwards for Jeff. Taking a look at this hand, of course, after the flop, Shipley leading because he hits his king and he moves ahead of the pocket queens, but it's a dream turn card for Duval. He hits his trip queens, and as the river comes out, Shipley's hand is as dead as Sunita's pop career. Back to the final table here, the PokerStars.tv European Poker Tour. Loads of money up for grabs, and more importantly, in my eyes, a seat at the European Poker Tour final in Monte Carlo later this year.
Okay, so here's another hand. So we got a pair of 9s for Duval. See how he plays them.
How much is it, Ted?
Oh, he's just calling. He's just called the 10,000. That's interesting.
Well, we found one of his 9s.
Okay, so it's Dahl calls with 8-9 suited on the button. John Falconer folds. Let's see what Robert Cooper's got. Not much, and he's going to check. So he's got Queen of Spades, 10 of clubs. See what comes. Okay,
that flop not exactly great for Dahl, of course. He would hope for at least one more heart. And the only person with anything at the moment is Duval, who bets it.
Well, another interesting call from Cooper.
Well, he's interested to speculate. So many chips in front of it, he can afford that small call to see what comes out.
Yeah.
Okay, he's checked.
You check, yeah? I'll check.
Okay, Jeff's checking, which is a wise move. The other guy might have a 5. And now he's hoping he's got a 5 because he's just flopped a house of 9s.
So here we go, full house 9s over 5s for Duval.
Oh, see how much his raise is here.
Cooper makes a small bet, assuming he's trying to steal this pot, and it's not going to happen.
No, it's not. I mean, Jeff back raised him. Oh, he's folded. He had to.
And another good hand for Jeff Duval. He was bottom of the stack just a few hands ago, and now gaining serious ground. Let's find out more about the man they're calling Jazzy Jeff.
This is at my local casino, so that's why I'm playing the tournament. I played blackjack for a number of years professionally. I prefer poker, much more relaxing, and people are nice. Yeah, it's good. I enjoy it. I've got a lot of discipline, so I can take a loss and come back. That's the main thing. How you take a loss. They're all decent players, There's, too much emphasis put on good and bad players. It's the cards that make a lot of difference.
Is there a hostility between those players who play online and those people that like to see who they're playing against? Is there a mistrust?
It's not so much a mistrust, but I think that there's live poker players tend to look down for some reason on internet players. I don't know why. Okay, so look, here we've got Robert Cooper raising with ace-7 suited in an early position. He's got Shipley looking interested with something. I don't know what his cards were, did you?
Haven't seen them yet, no, John, but Cooper's calling that ace-7 suited. That's a nice hand, it's a nice small raise. And here we go, it's pocket 9, so it is leading. It's leading significantly at this stage. But again, we should get some serious action here at this table, no matter how cautious they're playing.
Wow.
We got some great cards in the ace-queen. Another raise at the table.
Okay, so Duval's moved all in. So we had Cooper make a small raise, then Shipley come over, make a bigger raise, and now Duval has moved all in. Cooper's passed, and now Shipley's going to make a decision.
He's called pretty well throughout this final table so far.
Well, he has. He's gonna. What he's thinking about is, has Jeff got a pair bigger than 9s, obviously.
Well, he has every right to believe he does. We've seen so many pocket kings, pocket queens, pocket jacks at this table so far.
Yeah, well, I think he probably, he probably thinks, okay. There's a lot of things going through the mind. It's difficult to know exactly what anybody's got, obviously, but it's not going to knock him out of the tournament. So you might want to just take a gamble.
And he will be leading pre-flop. Duval will need to hit something if he gets called, or he'll be going home. And the call's made. Shipley leads pre-flop. A very, very important 5 cards here at this final table in London at this leg of the European Poker Tour. Is Duval on his way home? He hasn't far to travel, but he doesn't want to make that journey. Let's see what we've got. 10 of spades, the first card out on the flop. Dealer just setting up the overturned cards from both players. And the rest of the flop is as followed. The king of spades would give Duval a straight draw, but we got a flush draw for Shipley as well. The 9s are leading. He hits his flush, and Duval might not have far to travel, but make that journey he will. His fellow Englishman then, John Shipley, takes a very, very important pot here. And Jeff Duval has really been struggling to get from the bottom of that chip count table for quite a while now, and to be honest, he's had 5th place written all over his forehead.
Jeff, bad luck.
Caroline, never mind.
What's that 5 for? Is that how much you're worth?
Yeah, 5th place. I didn't have enough to make him pass, really. It was only, he bet 90, I came over the top for another 120. It wasn't enough, really. He's supposed to pass.
You seem all right, though.
Never mind. Yeah.
It's like another day for you, isn't it?
It is. Another day at the office.
Well, Jeff, expect a letter of thank you in the post from John Shipley. He's now chip leader with 4 players left. Bardal from Norway, still with a fighting chance. And John Faulkner, what a fairy tale story, down to the final 4 here in London, the European Poker Tour. Robert Cooper, his fellow Englishman, still in as well. And more cards out. Shipley hits ace-9. He's been getting nice cards. And he raises with that.
Okay, so Bardal is thinking now. Okay, so he's gone all in with king 9.
Is it just me in my amateur position, or is that a strange bet?
It's the bet of a desperate man.
And desperate Bardal is. He needs some chips. John Shipley running away with this at the moment. John Faulkner sitting very well indeed. And we have a caller.
Yep. Okay, he's called, and he's there. Bardal is in not a good shape.
He's running well. Shipley leading, of course, with the ace. The queen is no good. The 7 is no good. The 5's no good. The 8's no good. And the 3 signals at ace high from Shipley. Takes Dahl out of this tournament. The Bard from Norway. He goes home with over £33,000, but he would have much rather have won this tournament. Instead, we're left with 3 players, 3 Englishmen. As for Dahl, it's back to the computer.
Well, I've had a few nice wins in online tournaments, like three quite big ones, and in Norway casinos are not strictly legal, so you can't really play tournaments live there. So it's only when we go abroad that we can. So you have to play online.
And suddenly they're falling like flies. We're down to 3 players at the European Poker Tour in London. Back after the break. many sites in London, but that's the only important one today. The Grosvenor Victoria Casino for the PokerStars.tv European Poker Tour London leg. And there's our chip leader, John Shipley, 810,000 chips. And who would have thought we'd be still seeing his face? John Faulkner, the fairy tale story, in second place. And not out of it yet, Robert Cooper from England. Back to the action, and three players, all English at this, the English leg, of course. Some might say home turf helps. Playing against a lot of players that they may play against week in, week out. Is that a factor?
Well, I think it makes a difference. I think the other thing that makes a difference is you've probably got 80% of the field made up of Englishmen.
Well, Shipley's been hitting the cards as chip leader, and he's just hit pocket kings and made a raise on that. Not a massive raise. He may lure somebody in, and he's done just that.
John's had some very, very big hands in this final, and that's going to help him a great deal, obviously.
Well,
okay, Cooper's called with 5-7 of hearts.
And let's have a look at the flop. Well, there's no hearts on it whatsoever, but he has hit a middle pin straight, of course. That 6 would help him immensely. But I suppose it depends on the betting post-flop here before the turn. If Shipley makes a big raise, he will find it hard to call it, waiting just on that middle pin 6.
Yeah, okay, so he's checked to Shipley.
I'm just thinking as well, if they're all English and home turf helps, how come you're not there?
One day.
When everyone else is sick. So he's thinking about this. John Shipley, chip leader, he knows he's got a great hand. He'll notice, of course, he's got running cards in the flop. He'll be worried of there being a straight draw, but so he checks that. And the 6 comes out, he hits the straight. Shipley, of course, does have the king of clubs looking ahead to the river. He's also got an overpair. Cooper checks the straight.
Very interesting hand this. He's probably worried about the 10.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The 2 clubs give Shipley the flush, and he bets that. And Cooper's, even with the low straight, he's probably going to call this. Shipley has hit cards you can only dream of at this final table, but he's also played them very well.
I mean, Cooper's called him here, but to be honest, he shouldn't. I personally don't think he should have done. He said, I have to see you, but he doesn't have to see him. He must think he's got a club.
Well, that's unbelievable. I hear that so many times of professional players. I had to call you to see what you had. Not if you think you're on a bad beat. Look at this, how the hand changes as we go through it. The straight comes on the turn card for Cooper. An overpair for Shipley at that straight, but he hits the flush on the river. Action changed throughout that entire hand. The chip leader takes it, and he's pulling away from these two men. He seriously is pulling away at this stage.
No, he's on a roll. He's on a real roll. There's no doubt about it. He must be feeling very confident now.
Every time he looks at these cards, he's expecting to hit something, and he does again. King 10 for John Shipley, and he's going to raise that again.
Okay, yep, he's raised it 50,000.
A great lesson to be learned if you're playing at home here and you're a serious chip leader. He's playing every card. He's raising when he has to raise, even in cards that maybe in a normal situation he might not.
Yeah, he's playing mediocre hands, but these are big hands when you're three-handed. Robert Cooper looks as though he's thinking of calling with King 4.
And he does so. So he gets into the flop, an underdog again. Our chip leader is favourite, and he would need to hit a 4 for that to change. He does not do that. There's no hint of a straight on for any of the two guys. No pairs in the table. So it's serious psychology now. A bet could take this. Nobody's got anything. Cooper's checked. Shipley's checked. We'll get a turn card. And the 10 comes out. Shipley's night gets better and better. He's now sitting on top pair. He's got that king kicker to add into it. Cooper has to check. He's got nothing. And Shipley slow plays that again. The 8 comes out. He may be worried of a flush, which might mean we're not going to see any more money in this pot. But Shipley's got to bet this again. Cooper checks. He's got the 2 pair. Will the 8 scare him, John?
No, I don't think so. I think John Shipley's probably just wondering whether or not he'll call if he makes a bet.
15,000's the bet.
50.
50. There you go. That's why I didn't do too well at maths at school. It matters not. Shipley takes the hand. The chip leader wins again.
I've always gambled for a living. I used to back greyhounds. Well, you have to put a lot of homework into greyhound racing. There's a lot of work to be done at home, whereas poker, you just turn up and play. There is an adrenaline rush all the way through. You're obviously trying to stay calm and control your emotions and everything else, but underneath the surface it's all bubbling up. I guess primarily I'm in it for the money.
Very honest player indeed, and he's doing very well here today. He reached the final table of the World Series of Poker. He's looking to nail this, the European Poker Tour. And we see a King 10 in his hand. He's going to raise again. Maybe not a lot, but he will raise with that chip lead, John. King 10 suited. Faulkner played tight the whole day. He's going to fold that. So we're going to go suited against suited here. That's, of course, if Robert Cooper wants to call it.
Oh no, he's raised. He's gone all in. Ace, queen of diamonds.
Is he sick of Shipley making this same raise every time pre-flop? Maybe he's reckoning he can't have cards every time he does this, but we know he does.
Well, not only that, he's got to make he's got to make a stand at some point. He's hoping to double up here. This could make a huge difference to him if he doubles up.
And of course a great hand, ace queen suited.
Well, it is. It needs to improve. Well, it doesn't need to improve at this stage, but
well, it does or it doesn't, John. What is it? Which it is? Come on, spit it out.
It's not like a massive hand. It's not a pair.
Well, if we don't see any spades and we don't see King 10, he's going to take it. But there's a lot for Shipley to hit here, as there is for Cooper, just slightly more for him. And this is a flop. He's taken the King, of course, Shipley, but he's also hit one of his spades as well. That's no good. Ace or queen needed. He does not hit it. We're down to 2 players now. And Robert Cooper goes the way of Duval, of Boken, of McKeever, of Lusk and of Dahl. But Cooper leaves 59,000 greyhounds richer.
I had the best hand there at the end. The ace queen was better than this thing. It was just 50-50 and didn't get it. Wasn't going to wait for anything bigger than that, so had to try my luck.
Okay, now word is you've only been playing for about 6 months. Is that true? Or are you a bit of a...
9 months.
9 months, okay. That's still quite good though. You made it down to 3rd place. They really tried to squeeze you out, didn't they, just then? Did you feel like that?
Yeah, but that's the way it goes. You get short stacked, they're going to put the pressure on you. So I could have doubled up there and been still there, but that's life, so.
Could have, should have, would have. It means nothing. John Faulkner, one of just 2 players left. 489,000 chips plays. 1,261,000. A double up though for Faulkner, and he's right back in it. Would be even Stevens. More cards. A 10-8 unsuited. Heads up anyway though. We'll see what he's going to do with this.
Okay, so he just calls.
And he will go up against pocket 5s.
Interesting play by Shipley. He must know he's winning at this point.
But he checks that big blind, and we will see a flop. A 10 or an 8 would be wonderful, and he gets it in the first card, so he now moves into the lead, Faulkner. Shipley with the 5s checks it back to the people's champion, John Faulkner. Got further in this tournament than he has in any other. Shipley's behind here. Faulkner, he's guaranteed £117,000. He adds to his stack. He was going to sell his seat for crying out loud. No wonder he's got a smile in his face.
Absolutely delighted. First big comp like this. Nobody frightens me. I'm confident in my own ability. Well, I'm a nice type player and I've got patience. I sit and wait. I don't think I overplay some hands when some people do. I've seen it happen that many times. Once I started playing the game, I fell in love with it because I've always played in the pubs, 3-card brag, that sort of thing. Cards, I love them.
It's Faulkner. Shipley heads up here. And of course, not only an enormous amount of money by anyone's standards, well, probably not John here, but for these players, certainly 117,000 for 2nd place alone. And Faulkner's stern in that, unless he gets some serious cards and good action. But Shipley's been getting the cards all day, John, and he's done it again.
Yeah, okay, so we see him raising here with ace-jack.
Heads up, it's a monster hand.
Huge hand, huge hand. It looks to me as though... Oh.
He's teasing us. He's only showed us 1 ace. We get the ace 2 the camera's picked up, and he's went all in that, so he's not going to go in favourite here, and this could be curtains if Shipley calls it, but he might have him on a fantastic hand because Faulkner's played so tight.
Yeah, but he's still going to have to call with ace-jack. It's a very big hand heads up.
I call.
Ah. And Cawley does. So Faulkner's all in. Is Shipley on his way to Monte Carlo, courtesy of our own pockets here at the European Poker Tour? Well, he's certainly favourite here. Faulkner's going to want to hit it too. An ace isn't even any good to him because of the jack kicker. And that won't do it for him. There is the ace. And there's the two! The twos came out and the People's Champion hits it all in. He's got his 2-pair. No jack in the river and he takes it. Any other card will do. It's not a jack. The 5 means absolutely nothing.
He's stunned. He's stunned. Look, he's completely stunned. I mean, it's very similar, that hand, to Callahan's hand versus Stevic in Barcelona.
Wonderful. The European Poker Tour throws up another wonderful heads-up hand. And Faulkner's ace-2, which has been a lucky hand all day here, gives him 2 pairs and he takes that hand, he doubles through. Now, something tells me John Faulkner's got something stronger in that mug of his than coffee. I'll give you evens. It comes with a label Smirnoff in the front of it, and it's game on here now. Shipley's just taking a bit of a beating. The European Poker Tour then is in its final throes. John Duthie's with me, and you know what it's like to sit around this table with it, with the heart racing. 2 players, a lot of money at stake here, of course.
With 30,000.
With 30,000. Well, it's incredibly exciting. You have to remain very focused.
Shipley again suited. He's hit suited pair after pair after pair in the hand.
Yeah, okay, he's got King 3 suited, he's raised it 30,000. Okay, it looks like John Faulkner's going to call.
At the moment, only Faulkner knows what's on the other side of those 2 cards. We'll get a look now.
He's re-raised.
But you said he should play more aggressive. Maybe we're talking too loud here at the side of this auditorium here at the Grosvenor Casino in London. But he has raised indeed to 120,000.
Yep, he's raised it up to 120,000. Oh, he's called.
Well, Shipley's 60,000, he won't miss.
This is a very interesting hand.
Let's see who the flop favours. We get the Jack 9-4 comes out. 2 clubs on board, of course, which Shipley will like.
80,000.
But that's a strong bet from Faulkner.
I'm all in.
And he's all in from John Shipley.
Well, we've seen him make that move, before with a strong flush draw when he did that move against Jeff Duval earlier in the night.
He's only 3-1 to hit that, but Faulkner has nothing, so he's got lucky in a way. Faulkner hasn't hit a jack or a 9, or he might think of going with that. But it doesn't matter whether he puts him on a pair or puts him on a flush draw, because he's got nothing.
He can't call, he couldn't call. Very strong play.
Classic aggressive heads-up play there from John Shipley. And just any sort of momentum that Faulkner had as he was clawing back some of those chips from Shipley has kind of fallen by the wayside now, and it's written all over Faulkner's face. He knows he's came further than he could have dreamed, but it is turning into a bit of a nightmare now, and he needs to get the cards. He needs to get in pre-flop, and he needs to double up at least once.
No, you couldn't say it better.
Well, there we go. Pocket jacks. That's what he needed.
Okay, he's just called. He's trying to trap him.
It's an interesting ploy. Even heads up, Faulkner's willing to take that risk.
I couldn't see his hand. He had his thumb in front of it. I don't know what cards did he have. Did you see?
I think we're looking at king something. Oh, some lowered above. Put the caption up so we can see it in our monitor.
No, I think it was an ace.
75,000.
75,000. That's a big bet.
And he's done it in king, queen suited. Faulkner will go in as slight favourite. This is either going to end it or this is going to double Faulkner up, but he's got no choice but to call all in, and he gets the support of the crowd, as he has all night here. Shipley has some thinking to do, John.
Well, he has, but he's really pot committed. He's bet so much money that he's almost forced to call a raise, trying to work out what the raise is.
Well, there's a room full of Johns here. Duthie beside me, but it's Shipley and Faulkner at the table who we've got to think about. And if John Shipley calls and hits that king or queen, or he hits 3 spades, then he's going to win the... He's called it now. He has called it. It is showdown here at the Grosvenor Casino in London on the European Poker Tour. Both these players deserve the win. I'm sorry, you couldn't get any more worthy winners. We see the flop comes out. He hits 2 spades. He hits the pair of queens. It's Tyson against Bruno, and it's all over. John, I'm I love this game. Shipley takes it, and he's had so many bad beats at big tables. I have to say, a great player who finally gets the win he deserves in such a prestigious tournament. Faulkner second place, a much richer man than he was this morning. All's worked out rather well here in London. Woo! Let's have a look at the final table here then, Mr. Duthie. 200 grand going to John Shipley. And of course the title of London Leg Champion of the European Poker Tour. We'll see him in Monte Carlo. Well done, John Shipley.
It's like I've spent 2 days suppressing all your emotions and just trying to concentrate and not give anything away and not let anybody know when you're disappointed that, you know, it's very hard to suddenly be
ecstatic.
Jumping up and down.
It'll be tomorrow morning when you wake up.
Oh, yeah.
What are you going to do to celebrate? Something extravagant, please.
Well, apparently I'm off to Monte Carlo with a free ticket.
John Shipley!
And we'll see you there at Ship Shape for John Shipley. A cheque for £200,000 from the PokerStars.tv European Poker Tour. On the subject of money, John Duthie, am I getting paid for this commentary? Because I've phoned up the office about 4 times, haven't had a single penny yet.
We've run out.
That's because John Shipley's got it all. We'll see you in Dublin next.